Thank you very much for me. I'm going to talk to you about a complex set of conditions called mitochondrial diseases, and what I'm trying to do to try and help that diagnostic process for patients. Back to biology. Sorry, everyone. So to know about mitochondrial diseases, you need to know a little bit about mitochondria. So mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cells. So those bean-shaped organelles, I don't have a pointer, sorry. We have two types of DNA in our body, so the nuclear DNA and our mitochondrial DNA. Lots of nods, okay, good. So mitochondria are the things that are creating most of that energy in the form of ATP. And that's what we need for pretty much most of our cellular processes, the things that make my muscles contract and my brain do some thinking as well. So the mitochondrial DNA, which are these black blobs here, can coexist with mitochondrial DNA which have mutations. Similarly, mutations like you might have in your nuclear genome as well. If you have lots of mutated mitochondrial DNA, you will have unhappy mitochondria, so less energy production. Unhappy mitochondria makes unhappy cell. Enough unhappy cells makes unhappy tissue. So pretty simplified process I'm talking about here, but this image at the bottom there is a section of muscle from a patient who's got muscle weakness. And you might actually see that in our muscle as we age. The blue fibers show fibers which have mitochondrial DNA dysfunction, and those are fibers which are not working as well as you'd want. So mitochondria, which are there pretty much in every system of our body, if they have issues, you can imagine they can create a whole spectrum of conditions. So you have here, these are pictures from the Lilly Foundation, which I highly recommend you all to go and have a look at. So you have here a baby who's obviously struggling with breathing, who will need help with feeding, who's very floppy, so very severe multi-system mitochondrial disease. And then you have here at the bottom a chap, a young guy who's called Harry, I think, on the website, but he's had a very insidious course with sort of learning a bit slower than his peers and then having some collapses, having a heart rhythm problem, and later having some myoclonic jerks. And about 15 years down the line, he got his diagnosis of mitochondrial disease after a GP sort of went, something is not adding up. So mitochondrial disease has come in all shapes and sizes, affects all ages, progresses at variable rates. And you got two genomes, so your nuclear genome and your mitochondrial DNA, which means that you have a very variable inheritance pattern as well. So wouldn't it be great if we had this genotype-phenotype link that we're the holy grail of all rare diseases, right? Like you have your gene and you have your set of presentations, and you can go back and forth and go, look, I have a patient with diabetes and hearing loss, and that's most likely to be this gene. So I thought, yeah, why not? Let's try and do that. So I went and created a database called Mitofen, which looks at all the published literature for mitochondrial DNA variants, and it's up there for anyone to have a look at. And we had a look at that gene I just showed. It's not a straightforward link at all. But what I now have is a database which is patient-centric data and variant-centric data, which doesn't exist otherwise. And what we can do is now look at patient-to-patient level data. So you kind of go in these large rare disease cohorts that we're recruiting patients into for genetic studies. How about looking at their phenotype at a patient level and then seeing how similar are they to things that's already been published? Obviously, there's lots of issues with this kind of data set, but that's the rest of my work that's now that I'm looking ahead at. But what I can say is that the phenotype similarity, which is for the mitochondrial DNA, the red chart at the top there, is a higher phenotype similarity to the database when you're just purely looking at the phenotypes that are described by the clinicians for the patients. So what if we had that model but in other rare diseases? So you have a patient-to-patient link to have a look at to see whether actually you have the likelihood of picking up these rare conditions earlier. And that's hopefully what I can reach out to some of you guys about creating in other rare disease fields. Thank you.